Hey everybody, how you doing? IntoWeapons back again with you. Got a pretty cool product to share with you today. Thought I would do a review on a watch winder that I bought. This one is by Benson. It's a Smart-Tech 3.14.dB. As many of you know, I have a few watches in my collection, and most of them are automatic movements, and they're made out of tungsten, so they're very heavy, and they don't have any batteries in them. That's why they're automatic movement. They require some sort of movement on your wrist or a winder such as this in order to keep them wound and going, and on time and things of that nature. So I really needed something in order to keep my watches wound, so I didn't have to constantly set the time every time I wanted to wear them. I also heard that it helps keep the oils and lubrications within the automatic movement good, and worked throughout the automatic movement, so it doesn't affect that later on in its life period. So I went out and did some research. I've had some cheap watch winders in the past, and I've done reviews on those on my channel, and you can certainly go back and take a look at those, but they weren't able to hold up to the heavy tungsten watches that I've had. So I'm really excited to give you guys a show of this particular watch winder and some of the features that it has. Alright, so we'll take a look at what came with the winder. It did come with a wipe cloth, and that's nice for the fingerprints. This wood has a high gloss finish, and obviously you have the glass in the front, so being able to wipe off your fingerprints if you get some on there is real nice. It does have the watch winder manual, which just goes through all the features and the way to set the winder. Pretty simple operation, so it's not difficult to figure out. I'd say the most difficult thing for me was finding out my particular watch, its particular movement, and how many turns per day it needed and what direction in order to get it to wind properly. And there's a really good website out there, I think it's orbita.com, that provides pretty much every movement known to man that I'm aware of, and it'll tell you that exact information if you need it. So it does come with a power adapter. It is European style, EU plug. It did not come with a US adapter. I believe you can buy the US adapters on Amazon for about $8. I had an LED Wholesalers, I believe is the brand, power adapter for an LED light strip that I had, and I noticed that when I plugged that in, all the features of this watch winder worked, and it seemed to be the exact same, the exact same wattage and voltage or whatever it was on the back here. So I'm currently using that. It seems to work fine. The US adapter I bought was just kind of flimsy, and I really didn't, want to connect those two things together and put it in my wall. So I switched back to that power adapter that I had. We also have the remote control with it, which is real nice. It comes with a remote control, so you can, adjust the settings or turn on the lights or power or all that good stuff from across the room. So that's a real nice feature. So I'll put a product link below in the description that'll allow you to have a couple different retailers to choose from to go find these at, as well as the actual Benson Watch Winder's webpage itself. The price on these is a little bit more expensive. I did some reviews on some cheaper ones in the past that were around the $50 to $100 mark, and they weren't able to hold up to the heavy watches here. They just burned out real quick. The motors in them burnt out, and they were rubbing on the housing, and it was just, they were no good. So I decided to go a little bit more expensive on these guys, and it's for the US, it's 288 euros or $356. And that's tax-free. You have to pay shipping on top of that. It just depends for shipping on where you live, etc. So, and here in the U.S., you're looking at about $356. If you live in the EU, Netherlands, etc., it's 349 euros, I guess. And I'm not a big expert on what that actually means as far as translation and conversions, but it includes a value-added tax and a shipping within the Netherlands itself. So the shipping for it for me here to Wisconsin was very fast. Arrived within 7 business days. Came in a plain white cardboard box. It was well packaged with bubble wrap and hard foam inserts, so it was very well protected, and it came very fast, which was nice. The size of this thing is 15 inches in length, which is 38 centimeters. It's got a width of 10 inches or 25 centimeters, a height of 8 inches or 20 centimeters, and a weight of 9 pounds or 4,000 grams. So it is a pretty hefty thing, which is kind of nice. You really don't want something light which can fall off the desk if you bump into it or something like that. So real hefty product, well built. We'll go ahead and take a little bit closer at some of the specs and some of the finish and fit on this thing. Okay, so some additional information on this. It does come with a 1-year warranty. You can buy an additional year for 65 euros or 80 US dollars. Like I mentioned, it does come with that multi-function remote, which is real nice. In fact, I'm using it as I do this review so I can turn on and off the lights, etc. It's got a master power on-off switch in the back of the winder, which is nice because you're able to master switch it off if you want to go for a vacation or whatever the case is, or just flip the circuit in it. It does hold 3 watches, obviously. It's got 3 independent noiseless Japanese motors, and maybe what I'll do is just be quiet here so you can hear the movement going. Hopefully it picks some of that movement up. It's compared to the previous winders I've had, it's very quiet, which is really nice. So it definitely holds up to its noiseless feature. The winders stop when the door is open. So for instance, if I got the door closed, in fact maybe we can try it here. The door is closed, and what we'll do maybe is turn off the power and then turn it back on, so we're giving it a fair shot to recognize what's going on. So we got the door closed at this point. We'll zoom out a little bit. If we open the door, it should hopefully turn off here. Yep. And it generally will stop at the same exact position that it always starts, which is really nice. So it's always going back to that same sitting position. The winder is made out of brown wood polished with multi-layers of piano lacquer, and as you can see in the previous when I was showing you the features of it, the finish is absolutely gorgeous. It's got a real nice wood grain to it. Maybe I'll just pop you off the top here of the tripod and give you a closer look at some of that wood grain that's on there. So very nice wood grain, very nice finish. Again, you got to worry a little bit about that those fingerprints that you got to take off, but that's not a huge deal for me at least. So very nice wood finish on it, very good construction. The fit and finish is absolutely gorgeous. The door, when I close this thing, closes very nicely, very tight. Everything is very durable. There isn't any kind of wiggle or anything like that. Everything's very solid. I was very impressed with the workmanship of this winder. Obviously it's got a glass front for easy viewing, which is very nice. You can go ahead and see those watch winders. It makes it more of a conversation piece, which was one of the reasons that I got it. You know, I have these expensive watches and it's nice to wear them every now and again, but when you have people over, it's nice to be able to display these pieces as well. So Benson makes, I believe, from one watch all the way up to a number of watches, maybe 10 or 20. I can't remember their biggest one, but just depending on the number of pieces you have, you can certainly get whatever you know works best for you. We'll open this back up here and give you again a closer look at that movement going there. It's got chrome door hinges and feet for a modern look. Black interior made of plastic and leather. It's 3 programs, clockwise, counterclockwise, and alternating. It's got an adjustable turns per day, TPD is what they refer to it as, 650, 750, 850, 1000, or 1950. And that's real nice. So you got that, you know, that option to be able to do the different functions just depending on what type of movement your watch has. And each individual rotating arm has that ability to be set to each one of those programs. So you can do obviously different programs for each watch that you have, which makes sense. So it is energy efficient, overwind protection on 12 hours, off 12 hours, which is good not only for the winder, but it's good for the watches. It's got a multi-function touchscreen display, which I'll show you here real quick. I'll pop you off the tripod again. And this is a nice feature in case you don't have the, if you don't have the remote handy, you're able to go in here and use this on-screen touch display. You can turn on the light, turn on off the light. You know, you got your rotational buttons there, which way you're going to go. Your stop button. I believe that is for choosing the different winder itself. So right now we're on 3, back to 1, 2, 3. You got your master power switch, and then you're able to adjust up and down on, I believe, the you know, the number of turns per day that you want to select it for. So currently you can see here I got number 3 arm set at 650 turns per day, and it's going to be rotating on a bidirectional basis, so counterclockwise and clockwise. And again, that was the hardest part, is just going out there and trying to figure out your particular watch movement and what particular you know, movement it needs as far as rotating and direction, etc. It's got a blue tinted LED lighting interior top front. As you can see there, I think in here you can see this LED light strip along the top, which is really nice. It gives it a nice effect. I like the color to it. At night it really makes it pop, and the watches, it really, you know, shines off those watches in a nice way. I really like that. Some observations of this thing. Overall, it looks really nice. Wish it was in a gloss black. That would be really cool if they were able to do it in a different you know, style or design. It does show those fingerprints, which isn't a big deal. I wipe it down all my watches on a daily basis anyway, so I'm used to that. The door securely shuts closed, no wobble or play. That was one of the big things I really liked about this, was that fit and finish. The watch holder securely clips into winders for easy out, easy in and out, and I'll show you that if I pull this one out. You just go ahead and kind of push in on those 2 tabs and pull it right out, and then the same thing going in. You go ahead and just push on those two tabs and go ahead and set it right in there, and it kind of clips in there, and it's really easy to get in and out, but it seems like it retains it very well. I've never had a problem yet, and I've been using it for about a month and a half of having the watch holder fall out of the arm, so that's real nice. One thing I did notice, and this is just my personal thing because I got really small wrists, is I'm not really able to clasp the watches here in the back because my wrists are just too small. So I have too many links out of here, so I'm not able to get this thing fully down with the two clasps on there. I put a lot of stress on my brackets and my pins and stuff like that, but as you can see here, it works perfectly fine. I just strap one of those brackets closed and it straps to it fine. So really no issue with that whatsoever. All three of my watches are set that way. It just seems like, again, it puts less burden on my pins and my brackets and that stuff. So the middle winder does sag under the weight of my heaviest watch. As you can see here, my biggest watch is pretty hefty, and this was one of the main failures of my other previous watch winders. Was all three of them, in fact, weren't able to. Any watch winder previously weren't able to stand up to these tungsten watches, but this particular one is very heavy, and as you can see here, this is the problem I had with the other ones. Is along the bottom there's some built-up dust, and what that is when this is rotating around, it's rubbing against the housing there, and it's just slowly grinding away. And it was a problem, you know, initially for the first, I'd say 2-3 weeks, and I've let this build up since I've been using it, so I haven't wiped it off at all. That's the total accumulation of grinding, and it seems like it's actually gotten better over the last, I'd say, 4 or 5 days. So I've heard no grinding movement now when it spins, and I've seen a lot less dust build up since that time. So I'm thinking it's probably ground itself out. Again, that's the heaviest watch I've ever held or seen, so I really don't hold it at fault against the watch winder. It's just an exceptionally heavy watch. And these two watches are also extraordinarily heavy, and it's holding up fine to those. So I really just chalk it up to being just an overly heavy watch. And you know, any watch winder I don't think is really ever going to withstand to it. So, but even now it's still holding up. The motor is still running strong. It isn't making any kind of grinding noises that it's excessive. Doesn't bother me whatsoever. The only thing that's noticeable is that dust, which again, it seems to have gotten better, so I don't know if it's kind of worked itself out or not. The other winders are holding up great. It is an expensive investment, but does protect against your automatic movements, so it is a nice thing to have. It is a little bit more expensive, but I figured as a conversation piece and a way to display my timepieces. If it holds up, it doesn't break, I feel it's a valuable investment, just because you know, I get on a daily basis, I get you know, some enjoyment out of it. So hope you guys enjoyed the review. If you have any questions, feel free to let me know. Otherwise, I appreciate watching. Until next time, take her easy.